business, IPO is an expensive process. It costs about $150,000 just to go through all the legal work, do the road show, do these things. Crowdfunding is a lower barrier to entry for the business, as well as, crowdfunding works up to that $5 million range, whereas a traditional IPO, usually they're going after more around $20, $50 million. You don't need the expensive upfront costs for the business. Now, crowdfunding, how it's written is it's kind of written like an IPO light. So there's still a lot of corporate governance, but it's not as burdensome or cumbersome. It's designed around the fast, innovative startup. So, for example, we have the same license as BISX. So it is in many ways similar, but the requirements are different because you don't have the company with the 5 years of financials and the really stable income. But what you do have is you have companies that have the ability to grow 10 times, 100 times. And so you're playing in a different asset class, different risk category.
You probably would need to kind of paint a picture of what kinds of companies are coming onto your platform. I know you have those great acronyms.
Yes. I love to speak in acronyms. Otherwise, you can't remember it, right? So I can say, but I can't tell you exactly who the companies are. By regulation, I have to keep quiet on certain details. What I can say is one of them, out of the first two companies, one of them is an international food chain, and the other is a high-tech tourism company. So some really interesting companies that are coming, and it's on Monday at 9 a.m. The whole country will have that information. And,
they'll know who the companies are. We'll all know who the companies
exactly
are.
who the companies are. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, but the acronyms. So all companies listed on arrowacx.com we like to say a team that creates magic or team that produces magic. And team stands for the executive, advisors, and management. So the people, who the people are that are going to run this thing. Have they done similar type business like this before? Do they have the proper, do they have an accountant? Do they have an operator? Do they have someone that's focused on marketing and sales? If you're doing an international business, have someone, at least as an advisor, that has done international business of a certain size? Professional investors look at when they're evaluating a company. Then the magic. M stands for market. So the market has to be big enough to warrant you doing investment, right? You can't be saying, I'm going after a small little dress shop, maybe a chain or a fashion line that you're going to sell into Europe and to New York market, and those numbers start to make, they're big numbers at that point. Then the A stands for access. How do you get in front of these customers? It's one thing to say you're going to sell into the United States, but if you can't get your product into the United States, it's not really you're not really having a conversation. The G stands for growth of at least 10 times. But what we found is because we're dealing with innovative startups, these companies have the potential to grow 100 times at least. So we're selecting them for that. The I stands for innovative. So something about the product and something about the company. You can't be just rehashing the same old over and over and over again. You have to be doing something. It doesn't have to be technology. There's a lot of ways to innovate in business. And lastly, the C stands for that corporate governance. There's a whole crowd offering document that subscribers would do. And it's very, very similar to an IPO. If you've participated in an IPO before, you will be able to look at that and you'll be like, okay, I understand this document.
Okay, so many questions. So we'll get back to these two. I know you can't tell us too much about them, but we'll get back to those in a bit. But are there certain companies for which this is perfect, and are there companies that this won't work for?
So this is perfect for companies that need more financing than their collateral can provide. So we've all had those ideas that are bigger than the resources that we have. And at that point, you have to go to market. You can't You can't rely on shoestringing it in the modern business age. Opportunity for 10, 20 years. Opportunities are there sometimes for 18 months. You got to rush towards that opportunity to take advantage of it. And so um, companies like that. What it is not for is it's not for the business that is trying to just, grow 5%, 10% on the year. It's not for that because, or like, let's take, for example, a restaurant. If a restaurant wants to put a new patio, that's not really what crowdfunding is for. If a restaurant wants to franchise and expand into the Caribbean and into Florida, that's what this is for.
Okay.
And so, like I say, that new, exciting, innovative companies.
Yeah. All right. And you've got to be a company. You can't be, or do you have to be? Can you be an individual and you do a service? Is that a possibility, or how big?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
Because
Okay.
your companies is how investors protect their rights, and so we actually our primary responsibility as a marketplace protect investor rights, not the companies. When you are dealing with this, because we're dealing with what's called retail investor, which means we like to call them community investors, which is the average guy with as little as $25. His rights have to be protected. It's not just, yes, you're the business and you need money, but you can't, it's only through company structure that everyone's rights can be protected. Everyone can see an advantage. So it's only through ownership.
I have a lot of questions about investors, but in terms of companies coming onto your platform, have you already seen some of those companies that don't have magic that you've had to say, all right, maybe this isn't for you right now, or?
Yes,
Ah.
yes, we have many companies coming to us. Actually, we have on average about 10 companies approach us a day. So we have that conversation all the time. We take the approach of, because we're business people too. So, we've started and done multiple types of businesses. All of you could take a look at our team, and all of them have great business experience. So we understand that business as the founder is a journey. Sometimes a journey of a lifetime. You try something, it doesn't work. You try something else, you learn something, you improve. And so we've taken the approach to educate people, to be truthful with people. And maybe we won't be able to see you now, but maybe in 6 months' time, maybe with a different project. The town is small. You can't be treating people like they're nothing, and then expect them to do business with you later. So even if your idea is not ready for crowdfunding, maybe another idea that you have in the future will be. So it's come to us. It's okay. We will tell you the truth. We'll tell you whether or not you're investable, and then we'll actually show you how to become investable, how to structure your business so it is investable.
Each idea might be too small, but I mean, can you ever be thinking too big? Is that a possibility, or a big for right now?
This is the 21st century.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as really an idea that's too big. I mean, shoot. Virgin Galactic just got fundraising to. I think they just went public in the States. So you're talking about like literally spaceships. So we have to stop. I'm a millennial, so I'm not really I want to, I'm not really constrained by what happened in the past. We have, our parents sent us off to really fancy schools in United States, UK, and Canada. Got better grades than most of my classmates. And so I know from my own personal experience, and I'm not the only millennial, and I'm not the only person that went off to school and performed really well, that, in the past, our constraints were large selves putting constraints on us, not whether or not we were competent. And well, you can see it from Shanae and Stevie. I mean, we can compete with the best in the world in something as something like sports. So why not business?
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah. So what about investors? Tell us about who they could be. looked on the website a little bit, moved around on it, and I ran into this window where it asks if you're, I guess, an institutional investor, or it could be one, and do you make more than $200,000? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So by law, there are two types of investors. There's accredited
Accredited, yeah, that's the
investors,
word.
which
Yeah.
includes institutions. And then there's community investors or retail investors, as people like to call them. And we have to kind of treat them a little differently in the sense that there are certain limits, and this is by regulation. So, however, we are trying to inclusion, which means making sure that each group of people has access to the companies that are listed on our ACX, and people have equal information, equal ability to place orders. There's a lot of mechanical, you know, inconsistencies with the markets as they're structured right now, and we're trying to make it as fair of a marketplace as possible. So that's a little technical, but basically, there's a lot of how do I describe this? And forgive me if I start nerding out. Let me know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're listening.
So what I'm saying is that we're trying to make it really, really easy so that people, the average person, can invest in shares in new companies, be able to participate in the growth of the society, because the growth of the society always happens in companies.
How small an investment can one make? What's the smallest one can go? If
The smallest, we're trying to make it to $25.
wow.
So we're putting in technology so that there will be no excuse for why a person can't own something,
So
some equity.
can almost anybody be an investor?
That's correct. We're
Okay.
trying to make it so that everybody. What we would like to see is right now it's less than 10% of the population actually owns shares directly. We would like to see 70% of
Right.
Bahamians own stuff.
Wow.
I think it would change the way we look at our country.
So I don't have to make $200,000 or more.
No, you don't have to make $200,000.
Okay, good. Phew.
Now, if you don't make $200,000, the rules are right now that you can only invest $10,000, and then after that you have to fill out an additional form. And that's basically it.
You can only. What do you mean? That's the max. What?
That's the rules as they're written now.
Is that
and
to
this
protect investors themselves?
That's
Yeah.
that's the idea behind it.
So the most
And
you can
there's-
invest
there are
if you
people
don't
on both.
make.
If you're not an accredited investor.
If you're not, the most you can invest is 10,000.
That's what
That's correct.
the rules as they are now.
Okay. Okay.
are.
That's interesting. But so will I don't know. This is just a thought here. Will this in any way tie into the credit bureau? I don't know how it would or why it would.
That is an interesting point. So like you will be able to, because these are assets that you're buying, like a house or like a duplex or like other shares from other financial institutions, you'll be able to take those at some point and be able to borrow money against them. That's one of the things that you'll be able to do.
Wow.
You'll be able to use them. Of course, you'll be able to sell them.
Right.
You'll be able to earn dividends when these companies pay dividends. And so will it affect your credit rating? I'm sure it'll affect your net worth. So, and I'm
right.
sure that's a calculation in your credit rating.
Right. Is this considered a junior stock market, or is that different?
It's similar. The delivery mechanism is different.
Right.
That's all.
That's the big.
Like I say, what we're doing is a modern version of a very old problem.
Okay. I know when we talked a few weeks ago, I mean, you were having loads of signups in terms of investors. Is that still going on?
Yes. So we have about 150 people signing up every day.
Every day.
Every day.
So every day, yeah. So we're working through that. Right now we're up to 2,000 people, and that's over. It jumped from I think about a month. It's been ramping up. So especially as we get closer to launch, people are excited. People don't want to miss out because the rules are first come, first serve. Obviously, there's no when it becomes oversubscribed, we can't take any more investor funds.
Right.
So people are making sure to get their documents in. And like I say, the reason people who are listening, we need your passport, driver's license, NIB card, and proof of address is because it is an asset. So it has to be registered in a legal person's name. If you happen to live with someone and you don't have a utility bill or proof of address, all you need is a letter from that person saying that you live there. That works as well.
Right.
All right, we got a whole lot of questions. We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get back into this. This is fascinating. DRC Rahming Jr. and Timothy Bain. We're talking about Arawak X and crowdfunding and the exciting opportunities that are before us right now. And as you heard, you don't have to be a rich person to get in on this. We're going to get more on that and what it takes to sign up and what that means when you sign up after the break. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio. Stay with us.
Children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Wait, you know what going down tomorrow?
No way, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Wait, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know, John, you don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson fan. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody. I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Wait, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, him and these boys coming for me next.
Alright, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I boy?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app and know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the call go directly to Miami, and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them, and they can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Challenger Energy Group, formerly known as Bahamas Petroleum Company, BPC, revealing in a statement that it has reinvigorated the search for a farm-in partner for the next phase in its continued efforts to find oil in the southern Bahamas. CEG also noting in its statement that it's awaiting the government's decision on the renewal of its licenses, which it explained could take some time due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the country's proximity to the next general election. The company saying in that statement that at present it is awaiting a response from the government, noting that the process of renewal of the company's licenses from the first to second exploration period, for example, ultimately took an extended period of time to complete. Thus, the current process took some time. It says that under the terms of the company's licenses, 3 months prior to the conclusion of the second exploration period, the company had the right to seek a renewal of the licenses into a third 3-year exploration period, and the second exploration period concluded on June 30th. And accordingly, in March 2021, the company advised the government that it intended to renew the licenses. Prime Minister Dr. Jimenez has contended that he is against oil drilling, and environmentalists have vowed to contest any company that wants to drill for oil in the country. Just over 16,000 Bahamians are still receiving unemployment assistance from the government. That's according to Minister of Public Service and National Insurance, Brenza Roll. Roll saying at the start of the COVID pandemic, approximately 34,000 people were receiving benefits, with that number peaking at 42,000 when the economy slowed considerably following emergency orders and lockdowns. He says that just over 16,000 are now receiving the benefits. At the peak, they were doing $16 million every 2 weeks. Roll says that to date, National Insurance Board has paid out more than $100 million through its unemployment assistance program, has paid out more than $250 million. Consolidated Water, the water company which produces bulk water and supplies the Water and Sewage Corporation, revealing an increase in bulk segment revenue driven primarily by its Bahamas-based operations in its just-released second quarter 2021 financial summary. The increase in this segment came as the company announced a 12.5% decline in overall revenues for the second quarter of 2021 to $16.7 million from $19.1 million in the second quarter of 2020. Bulk segment revenues increased by $846,000 to a total of $2.02 million. You can read more about this in today's Guardian Business section. And Long Island Real Estate is at the center of a $2 million lawsuit in a Maryland Southern District Court that leads back to a more than 3-year-old fraud case involving the largest real estate investment scam ever handled by the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. That's according to court documents seen by Guardian Business. Rob Evans and Associates, LLC, the receivers of a luxury development in Belize, has appealed to the courts for Bahamas-registered company Bella Mar Estates Limited, which the court documents state is owned substantially by Florida-based lawyer Jorge Diaz Cuerto, to pay nearly $2 million related to a transaction to purchase the Long Island real estate totaling 424 acres. The document states that Diaz Cuerto paid between $10,000 and $100,000 for. The real estate was revealed in court documents as the 100-acre Francis William parcel, the 220 Charles Ellis parcel, the 57-acre Daniel Culmer parcel, and the 47-acre Rosanna Newman parcel. You can read more about this case in today's Guardian Business. You definitely want to pick up a copy for that. Overseas, the U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell saying Tuesday that the U.S. economy has been permanently changed by the COVID pandemic and that it's important that the central bank adapt to those changes. He says it's not going back to the economy they had before the pandemic. Speaking at a virtual town hall for educators and students, Powell says that while it's not clear yet if the Delta variant of the COVID virus will have further impact on the economy, the country has already seen significant changes since the pandemic in the U.S. in March 2020. Those changes range from the increase in remote work to restaurants offering more takeout meals to real estate agents learning to show homes virtually. Many companies have already made large investments in technology to adapt to the challenges the pandemic has presented. And European stock markets opening lower today while Asia advanced as investors awaited an update from the Federal Reserve on possible plans to reduce U.S. stimulus. Wall Street futures also declining a day after the benchmark S&P 500 eased off a record high following weaker than expected U.S. retail sales. Major indexes have been trading at record highs on a mix of confidence from investors and friendly monetary policy from the Federal Reserve. Analysts still expect economic growth, but sentiment is becoming more cautious on the pace. Closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Tuesday. Your market movers, Cable Bahamas moving 49,925 shares, up 1 cent to 325. Colina Holdings Class A preference shares moving 36,000, closing at $1 unchanged. GR 1211386 moving 250, closing at $100 unchanged. BSBGR 1242381, moving 150. Closing at $91.69, down $8.31. And BSBGR 1200371, moving 150. Down $5.88 to $94.08. Consolidated Water up 1 cent to 250. Emira Incorporated down 7 cents to 11.50. The Basics All Share Index closing at 2009.55, up 0.18. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And we're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strawn along with Chester Robards. We are talking about X and crowdfunding, and the first two crowdfunding opportunities opening next week. And we're getting all the details from DRC Rahming Jr. and Timothy Bain. Okay, so before the break, we talked about signing up, how this is done. Tell us more about that process. What is required? What, if there are, you said $25 the least you need to have. But what more do we need to know? You mentioned some of the information that you need to bring as well. Tell us all about that.
So you need to, we do everything through arrowacx.com. So sign up there. You'll be able to upload your those wonderful KYC documents we talked about earlier, which is your passport, your NIV card, your driver's license, and a proof of address. If you don't have a proof of address because you might be living at home, like so many millennials are, you can the person who has the proof of address can write a letter, and that's acceptable too. And so everything kind of happens through the portal. If you are lost or confused, because it is technology, it is new, we also have scheduled tours where you can come in. Our offices are in Sandyport, and so you'll be able to come in, speak to a real person. They can walk you through the system, as well as we do some training. Or if you're 810-0333 or 809-6336. And we're trying to, while it is new, we've put in a lot of technology to try and make the process easy as possible. We recognize technology can be scary for a lot of people, and so we're here to help people through it.
Do you need to have
because
your money?
Once you learn it, it's easy.
Yeah. Do you have to your money immediately? You need to put that in. You need to come with that.
Okay. So how it works is when on August 23rd at 9 a.m., you'll be able to go on the website. You'll see the offerings, the two companies, and you will select one. You'll select the number of shares. You'll go through the process. If you're already onboarded, then you don't have to do your KYC documents again. If you're not, you would have to go through that process, and compliance is going to have to check to make sure that you can be onboarded. So once you've been approved, then it'll send you payment instructions, and then you can just pay from your banking app, or if you want, you can walk into the bank and do a direct deposit transfer.
No money before Monday.
Say that again?
No money changes hands before Monday. Even
no money changes hands before Monday.
Okay,
that's correct.
And how quickly does onboarding take?
We're trying to get it down to less than 48 hours. If you know anything about financial services, compliance people don't like to talk about how long it takes because everyone's financial background is different, and they have to make sure that the source of funds is from a legitimate place.
Right.
However, that being said, that's really only for accredited investors. There's if you're not an accredited investor, you're a little bit less of a risk to society. Money launderers tend not to launder $500, $1,000. They tend to try and move, $100 million.
The big stuff. The big stuff.
Yeah, the criminals are trying to move the big money.
Wow. All right. So what if on Monday I'm not interested in any of these two companies? What happens?
Okay. So what happens is you would be onboarded, and if so we have 4 other companies that are coming that should come within the next couple of weeks. So, you'll be right in line so that if you're interested in any of them, you'll be able to participate.
Yeah.
There's no cost to onboarding. There's no cost for having an account. The technology brings the cost down. So on our end, it's just a couple of, I just basically got to pay for electricity to keep the servers on.
Right. There's just so I guess investors know, but you have these investor classes. I guess first talk about that. The education that you're trying to do around this and where it happens, because I know you do these regularly, right?
Yes. So we have recognized that financial literacy is a weak point of our society. And so instead of just, standing, and reaching at people, we decided to do something about it. And so we're offering courses where people can come in and they can kind of learn the basics. We don't give investment advice, but we do teach people how to look at like financial statements and things so that they can look at it with like how a professional looks at investing, but obviously not at a high technical level, but just as these are the things that people look for. This is what you should be looking for, that team with magic. And so we recognize when people are more financially literate, what's going to happen is they're going to make better decisions. I believe that as people own shares, become owners in the society, they're going to treat the society nicer. I think you're going to see a lot more. I would like to see some the changes of, when you own stuff, you treat it well for the most part. It's only when you don't own anything. And right now we have a society where, a lot of people, more than 70% of people walking around here don't own anything. And you're wondering why we have some problems that we have.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. Now you mentioned before, I think you said the limit was 10,000 if you're a regular investor, right? Is that if you just in general?
It's for the whole year. But like I said, if you're approaching that and you're not an accredited investor, we have a form that you could fill out, and it's called an enhanced, not enhanced. It's called an elective professional investor. And so you're basically just filling out another form to say that you understand the risks and that, treat me like an accredited investor. So there is a way around that, but there's some more paperwork.
Right.
And now as investors come on and businesses start to do what they do with the money, what will people see? How do they get there? Is it dividends? How does that work?
Great question. So as the marketplace, we are also responsible for making sure that these companies communicate with their investors and report back to their investors. So like quarterly financials, different types of corporate governance to make sure that they're not just doing anything old thing with the money. Each company has to have a dividend policy, so you'll be able to read that aspect of the company. I'm trying to not get too much into the weeds,
right?
Because corporate governance people, finance people love to talk about that stuff, and it bores the rest of us normal people. So,
well, I guess people want to know how they're going to make money off of this thing. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, it's in there. You'll be able to see all of the information. I promise on Monday, you'll be able to go in, take your time, properly evaluate. Right now on the site, we have a demo company up. The information is of the type of information that you'll be seeing. So it's not a real company.
Right. Will and I don't know if this is something that you've asked the companies who are coming onto the platform to do, but will the information on Monday be really techy, or have they kind of brought it to a level where people can understand what's going on?
It's the basics of finance. So like share price, how many shares are being offered, what how much money is the company looking to raise, as well as some basic, financial statements. It's how it's laid out. It's laid out so in multiple layers, so you can kind of see a high level view of it, and then you can go deeper if you want. And so it allows both the professional investor as well as and when I say professional investor, I mean someone who has some financial training, the average guy on the street to kind of understand what's going on in this company. So we've tried to make it really, really simple because I don't know about you, but I don't trust things that are too complicated. I think
right. But will you get an idea of the long-term plans? Will you get an idea of the long-term plans?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So you'll be able to see what the company's vision is, where they're trying to take this, because obviously growing 10 times, you have to have some plans for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody just grows 10 times. It's a business.
We want to open this conversation up to calls and to the text line. We're already getting some great text messages here, but you can call in 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Now, we know that there are some publicly traded companies that they haven't been paying out dividends for some time. Is it realistic or unrealistic to expect to immediately see a return, to see something from these companies after the first year or so? Or is that, what do we tell
I wouldn't see returns from like dividends. However, you will be able, within short amount of time, be able to exit at any time. So that means sell them on what's called the secondary market. So that's the trading portion of that. We have to spin that up, but obviously you can't spin that up without having companies on it, right? So that's coming within the next 6 months as well.
Right. And there's no, after a period of time, there's no way you get kicked out of your shares or anything like that, right? I mean, this is
no, they're yours. They're yours. They're yours.
Okay.
Like that's by it's like your house. They're yours until you either sell them or there's like the company gets acquired by a bigger company or whatever. But they're yours.
Are companies able to, I know this happens sometimes, to buy back their shares?
They are able to.
Oh, okay.
And but it's the way that it's structured is they obviously have to pay a premium so that the investor, makes a return on his investment.
Right.
All right. So we're trying to pick your mouth again. Just tell us a little bit more about these two companies. Give us a little more.
Is it okay if we've already guessed who one might be?
If you guess, don't say.
Okay.
I know this town is small.
Yeah,
no, we're unfortunately because I have I'm under by law I have to make sure that information is distributed equally. That's one of the roles of an exchange, of a platform like this. So all I can say is one is an international food chain and the other is a high-tech tourism company.
But they're both Bahamian companies.
Bahamian founders with international advisors and really strong management teams.
Did you have to clear those descriptions with the Securities Commission?
Well, we did have conversations with them, and we came to the understanding that we could kind of talk about the industries.
Right.
And so that's all I'm going to say.
Well, could you expand on some of the industries? I know you said you have 4 more companies kind of lined up.
Yeah, so we have some agribusinesses that are looking for funding, some really interesting ones. Also, mostly products that are looking to export. So, it's so that those are probably the big 2 other tech. Right. There's some more tourism companies because the tourist market, as you know, is not just limited to here. You can franchise your things out. That's what Sandals did, right? It's a Jamaican company that set up here and in a lot of other places. So why can't you do the same?
Right.
So there's a lot of business ideas. What business is supposed to be, and maybe I'm being idealistic, is you're solving a need for a customer. And so if you identify a need, especially if it's a big need, why can't you take that to the world?
Yeah. All right. Let's get to some of your text messages before we have to take a break here. Somebody says, please ask. Oh, yeah, you answered this already. Please ask Mr. Rahming how much it will cost to buy into a company. But you did mention share price. So there will be, this will vary.
You'll be able to see the share price. Every company is a little different.
Right.
And every company will have like a minimum investment. But like I say, we're trying to make it around $25. Trying to make it super accessible.
Yeah.
Is that something you ask of them, or is that they choose that completely?
They choose their the share price. And when I say choose, it means they go through the process of with our equities department to make sure that the offering is there. But I have the technology to bring it down to even at $25, we're breaking even.
Right.
So
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. This one here asks, please, to clarify what an accredited investor is, so that persons who want to invest more than $10,000 can understand what's happening, what he's saying. You don't.
Oh, okay. So there's this long portion of the securities industry's regulation. It's like a whole 2 pages that defines exactly what an accredited investor is. But since I'm not going to bore you with legalese on the radio, it's basically the idea behind an accredited investor is that you have enough money where if you lose it, it's not going to kill you. So that was the thinking in the past. So basically, when you're an accredited investor, you can do what you want with your money. And so a lot of regulation and rules have developed over time to protect the retail investor, to protect the community investor. And so only recently, with the dawn of the internet, have people who are not accredited investors been allowed to invest even in these early stage companies, because now information is more readily available. You can get on the radio, you can get on the internet, you can find information in the same way that in the past only there was the opportunity to do. So what crowdfunding does is it kind of now allows people to go from be able to participate. And I'm just getting a note from my head of legal here that it's actually $10K per offering and $50K per year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
$10K per offering.
Per offering. Okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And $50K per year.
Yeah.
Okay, that is.
Yeah. So I correction.
That's pretty cool.
That's why you got a team, right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
10K per offering. Okay, wonderful stuff. This person's asking, can I use a bank statement that has my address on it?
That's correct. That's a proof of address. That's good. That's a good KYC document.
Okay, all right. All right, let's take that break, and we come back just to tie it all together and get a few more details for folks what they need to know about this great opportunity here. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're talking with DRC Rahming Jr. and Timothy Baines with us as well, and we are talking about Arawak X and crowdfunding and what we can expect next week. Stay with us.